At the controls today is Phil Mateer. Phil is our test pilot. He's a retired colonel in the Air Force, and he's flown everything from Piper Cubs to F-16s and A-10s. So the transition is in very good hands. I'm going to do a little driving demonstration here for you, but I just wanted to mention that Bob Burling and Steve Brown from the FAA on Monday, I showed up over there and said, hey, I think, do we need a waiver or anything for this? They go, yeah, you're an air show, you need a waiver. So they jumped on it, got the waiver going for us. And then Paul Nugent, who's the manager of the tower, talked to the Secret Service for us, and without them, we would not be doing this right now. We are, just a couple of quick safety points. We're on an active airport today, so the boundaries are pretty well delineated with this line here. We'd ask that you stay right here on the ramp. If you have any questions of where you can move, just check with one of the people in the Terrafuja shirts or somebody with an orange vest. We're glad to point in that direction. What we're going to do now is we're going to convert the transition from drive mode to flight mode. There's 3 steps here. Phil is depressing 2 buttons on the instrument panel. There's a screen on the instrument panel that is telling him the status of the deployment. Once the wings are fully deployed, the screen will tell him by showing a series of green check marks that the wings are down and locked. You can see the conversion takes less than a minute. We like to compare this to putting the top down in your car, and that was the design intent. Once Phil gets those down and locked, there's 2 other steps. In your car, you probably have a drive and a reverse and a neutral. We have drive, reverse, neutral, and prop. And Phil will shift out of prop, or out of drive into prop, which will transfer the transmission from the rear wheels to the propeller. And then he's just going to bump that engine and move that into the prop mode. And then the last step, there's a control stick that folds up from under the seat. Phil will fold the seat, the control stick up, put a pin in it, and he'll be ready to go. Hey Phil, how you doing? Phil Mateer. The transition is becoming an airplane now, and just like any airplane, we're going to conduct a pre-flight inspection. Now, the flight test engineers, as well as Phil, just did a very thorough pre-flight on the vehicle before driving it over. What Phil's going to do now is just pre-flight to make sure that the transfer from car to airplane went as he planned. There are titanium downlocks on the top surface of the wings that Phil will inspect to make sure they're down and locked. He's going to inspect all of the control surfaces just like you would do on any standard airplane to make sure they're free and clear. And he'll inspect the prop to make sure that that everything looks right. So this is no different than a conventional pre-flight at this point. Check pitot heat to make sure that that's working. And the one unique component to pre-flighting the transition is in the rear view mirrors. You have to fold away the rear view mirrors. There's a couple of safety features here. The engine, first of all, the engine must be off to either fold or unfold the wings. This is to prevent the wings folding or unfolding while the vehicle's in movement. And secondly, we need to fold those rear view mirrors and those side view mirrors. The purpose here is to make sure the pilot turns the engine off and gets out. You ready to go, Phil? All right, have a great flight. So the purpose of folding those mirrors, and we don't do it automatically, is that we want to make sure the pilot is getting out of the airplane and folding those away. This is runway 32. Phil's going to taxi to the other end. He'll turn around and then he'll take off back in our direction. So you'll be able to see him as he climbs out. Phil's going to come back in and we're going to convert back over to car mode. Again, as I said, the engine must be off in order to either fold or unfold the wings. As Phil takes it out of prop mode into drive mode, the display panel will shift back to wing mode, and now Phil can monitor the folding of the wings from the panel in front of him. So the process here is really in reverse. As he folds the control stick away, he'll shift to drive mode and then fold those wings out. What you're seeing here is the fastest conversion of any flying car ever. Flying cars go back to the 19-teens when Glenn Curtiss attempted the first. There have been many, many attempts. There's never been anything as close to a quick fold as that. And Phil never left the cockpit. You can imagine here if you've just landed your conventional airplane, you're at the tie down, now you're going to try and find how your ground transportation, you got to go get if it's a rental car or find a way on the airport. Here we just shift over and drive on.